A very good morning, students. Let us look into the next topic called CPLD. You may get a question like this: write a short notes on CPLD, or what do you mean by CPLD, and give a brief about CPLD. So let us understand what is CPLD first. We know what is PLD, Programmable Logic Device. This PLD is of two types: SPLD and CPLD. SPLD means simple PLDs, CPLD means complex PLDs. Okay, in the last video we have seen about PROM, PLA and PALs. Now we are going to see what is CPLD. So we know CPLD belongs to the family of PLD. C stands for Complex Programmable Logic Device, CPLD. So CPLDs are PLDs that are more complex than simple PLD device and less complex than FPGAs. So this is a very important point. CPLD belong to the family of PLDs. This is more complex than SPLD, but it is less complex than FPGAs. Okay, so let us see the block diagram of CPLD. If we see this block diagram, we can understand that there are two major blocks. One is IO block, other one is logic array block. Clear? There are two major blocks. One is IO block, other one is logic array block. Apart from this IO and logic array block, each and every single logic array blocks are connected together by what? Programmable interconnect. So what is that we can write? We can write the construction as the circuit is constructed in this way. There are two important blocks. One is IO block, other one is logic array block. The IO block and logic array block communicate with each other internally with help of programmable interconnect. Okay. Now, so there are basically three. We can call it as logic array block. Second one is IO block. Third one is programmable interconnect, which interconnects these two. So this is used to implement complex combinational and logic circuits. So what is the function of CPLD? The job of CPLD is to implement complex combinational logic circuits as well as sequential logic circuits. Okay. Now let us see the in detail we will see. So it basically has how many blocks? Two blocks. One is LA, that is logic array block, LAB. Call it as logic array block. Other one is IO block. Let us see what is logic array block. Okay, logic array block consists of set of macro cells. So what is a macro cell? So we need to see what is a macro cell. Okay, macro cell is similar to PAL or PLA structure. What do you mean by PAL or PLA? It has set of input buffers and gates followed by OR gate. If I have this setup, I call it as PLA or PAL combined circuits. I repeat, what do you mean by PAL or PLA structures? Is PLA is programmable array logic. PLA is programmable logic array. We have seen in the previous video, which has set of input buffers followed by set of AND gates followed by OR gate. If I have set up like this, I call it as PLA or PAL. Whereas in a macro cell is similar to PLA, but apart from this, it has some OR gates, XOR gates followed by flip-flops followed by multiplexer. If I have this kind of setup, then I can use this circuit not only to design combinational logic circuit, but also to design sequential logic circuit. Is it clear? So PAL, PLAs are majorly used to design what? Combinational logic circuits. Whereas macro cell, CPLD, is used to design what? Combinational as well as sequential cell. To design a sequential cell, what is that we need? Apart from input buffers, AND gates and OR gate, we need XOR gate, a flip-flop and a multiplexer. This type of setup will be there in a macro cell. Where is this macro cell is sitting? Macro cell is sitting in the logic array block. So what is that you write? My first point is logic array block. Logic array block has what? Some set of macro cells. Each macro cell has what? Input buffers, AND gates, OR gate, XOR gate, flip-flop and multiplexer. Additionally, this is used to design what? Both combinational circuit as well as sequential circuit. Next, let us see the input output buffer. What is IO block? Input output block. Input output block means this is a block. If you see here, this is a block which has several pins. Each pin can be acting as either input or it can act as either output. So IO blocks consist of several pins which acts as input as well as output, or a pin can act both as input as well as output. Next one is programmable interconnect. What is programmable interconnect? This programmable interconnect is used to transfer data from one logic array block to other logic array or from IO block to logic array. So it is used to communicate the signals from one block to other block or within the blocks. Clear? So this is a job of programmable interconnect. Okay, let us see an example. So example for CPLD is Xilinx. Okay, I've taken a chip XCR36XL CPLD Xilinx based. Now see the architecture. This Xilinx has 4 logic array blocks. Can you see? 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 logic array blocks and each logic array block has 16 macro cells. You know, each logic array block will have set of macro cells, whereas in Xilinx we have how many number of macro cells? 16. Can you see? This is an example of a macro cell. How many macro cells you have? 1 and 2. So Xilinx has each logic array block has 16 macro cells like this. So what is a macro cell? A combination of input buffer, AND gate, OR gate, XOR gate, flip-flop and a multiplexer. So this is one macro cell. This is second macro cell. It has how many macro cells? 16 macro cells inside this. This is first point. What is the second point? Each lab is programmable and you know, right, each lab has programmable and programmable OR, XOR, flip-flops, all this so that it is used to establish a combinational circuit or design a sequential circuit. Each macro cell contains, you know, XOR gates, flip-flops and multiplexes to route the signals from one block to other blocks. So this is an example of an CPLD. This is what you can write for CPLD as a short note, a basic introduction. So point 1, it is used to design a complex combinational and sequential circuit. To design a complex combinational circuit, LAB block has this setup. To design a complex sequential circuit, LAB has additional to this input buffer and or it has XOR, flip-flop and multiplexers. So this is an example. You can start explaining what is CPLD with help of this diagram and say it has 3 different blocks: IO block, logic array block and programmable interconnect. Explain each in detail, followed by telling what is a macro cell, how many macro cells are there for Xilinx as an example, as our case study. Thank you. This is about CPLD or just an intro or short notes for a CPLD. Thank you.